Okay, so yesterday we created a program to define variables, work area, and constants, right? So we created a type structure using types begin of, end of, right? To create work area and internal table with only specific fields, selected fields, not all the fields of the database table. Okay. So whatever the fields we are taking here in the type structure, these fields not necessary to be there in the database table. Okay, this can be any fields. There is no rule that whatever the fields we are taking here, they should be in a database table, right? There is no rule. Let me create a simple program using type structure and internal tables. What type of the program we need to create?
Executable program.
We need to create the executable program. Okay.
Sir, your screen is not visible, sir.
Oh, sorry. Let me share my screen. So what type of program you are going to create? Executable program.
Executable program.
Type should be executable program. You can't save. It will ask for a package name. Package is like a folder kind of object where we save all the ABAP custom developments or enhancements. Okay. For example, sales related objects we store in a specific package. Finance related objects we save in a specific package. Okay. For example, in projects, the packages will be like this: Z, SD, right? Or ZMM, ZMM. Packages will be like this: ZFI, right? So you need to ask your lead or whoever there in the project about the package. Hey, what is the package I need to use for this specific development? Okay. So when you newly joined in the project, for now we are saving it in the local package using local object option, which does not allow you to transport the changes from test system to and to production system, right? These are only local to the development system. If you save objects in the local object, for practice purpose, for now we are saving objects in the local object only. So after few sessions, I'll show you how to assign a proper package. Okay. Now my requirement is to create an internal table and populate the data to the internal table, right? So what are the different alternatives we have to populate the data for the internal table? How can you populate data to internal table or work area? If you observe here, you can populate data from the database tables or you can populate manually. Okay, you can read the data from database tables and populate to internal tables and work areas, or you can populate the values manually, just like how we populated the values for work area yesterday in yesterday's session, right? First, we'll see how to populate the values manually. I'll create a simple work area and internal table. How to define a work area and internal table? What is the prerequisite? We need to have a database table or structure, right? To define an internal table or work area. I don't want to take a database table now. I just want to take one structure, type structure with required fields. Types, begin of ty underscore, assign some name, proper name, any relevant name, right? Usually we use ty for type structures, okay, as per the naming convention. Otherwise it will take any name. It is right? It's not mandatory to provide TY, right? But as per the naming standards, we provide TY so that you can easily identify it as a type structure. Now, field 1, type. I'm taking some generic field names, right? Not the field names of the database table. These are not the field names of the database table. I'm just taking some generic field names. Okay. Let's assume there is no data element or domain created for the generic field names. So that I'll assign type and length. Type C, field 3, type N. For integer, you don't need to assign a length for integer, right? For packed decimal, length is 10, type P, and how many decimal places you want to maintain. Packed decimal will allow decimal places, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So we can use decimal places for packed decimal P. How many decimals you want to maintain? I want to maintain 3 decimals, up to 3 decimals. Okay, dot after dot, how many decimals you want to maintain, right? So we can define your type structure like this. A generic type structure. It is not related to any database table. Okay, clear? Now, how to define a work area for that? Data is the syntax. First, we'll define internal table. What is the syntax to define the internal table? Internal table name, type, type, table of, which one we need to take? Type table of which one? Type structure name.
TY
What,
data.
whatever the type structure we created here. Now we have defined a internal table with reference to this type structure, right? So this internal table should contain all the 4 fields with the same field names, field 1, field 2, field 3 and field 4. Okay. Now let's define the work area. How to process the records of the internal table or how to add new records to the internal table? By using work area of same type. You can add new records to the work area, sorry, internal table, or you can process the records of the internal table using a work area. How to define a work area? Type ty underscore data. Now both internal table and work area is referring to same type structure. Both internal table and work area contains same fields. But what is the difference? Internal table can hold one or more records.
More records.
Work area only one
One
record.
record.
Only one record. Now I have defined a internal table and work area. Okay. Then how to pass data to the internal table? You know how to pass data to the work area. How to pass data to the work area? Work area name hyphen field name and corresponding value. Okay. You need to pass corresponding value of the each field of the work area using hyphen. Okay. So you can populate the values using work area hyphen field name like this. WA underscore data hyphen. What are the field names you need to take? Whatever the fields you have maintained in the type structure. If you are using database table reference instead of type structure, you need to take whatever the field names available in the database table you need to take here. Okay. Field 1 equal to what is the value you want to pass. For example, 100. Because it's a character type data, right? That's why I'm using single quotes. I'm passing the value within the single quotes. Field 2. It is also character type data. Let's assume it as a name. Third one, what type of data it is? Field 3,
Number type.
number type. So you don't need to pass single quotes,
Single
some
quotes.
number. What about field 4? What type of data it
Decimal.
is? Packed decimal.
Packet decimal.
Packed decimal. So value will be like this. But it won't accept dot if you pass it like this. Okay? Use single quotes to pass the decimal places. If you are not passing the decimal places, right, it will accept without single quotes. But if you need to pass the decimal places, you need to have single quotes. There is some error. What is the error?
Field field name difference.
Looks like, okay, no syntax errors. First, let's try to print the work area data using write statement, right? What are the fields data it's going to print? Whatever the fields available in work area, it's going to print all the data, right? But if you want to print only required data, required fields, you need to use a work area name hyphen field name.
Field name.
Then it will print only required fields instead of printing all the fields. Activate the program. Okay, what it is saying? Cannot be converted to character like value. In which line the error is? When we are trying to print, trying to print this data, right? The data with packed decimal, right? It is not accepting in the write statement. That is the error. It is not accepting to print packed decimal value in write statement. It is, if you pass just like if you provide the work area name, right? It will consider entire data as a character like data. Okay, that's why it is throwing error. But if you check the syntax, okay, even we have a syntax error. So it is not in on which line? Line number 21. So it is not accepting to print the packed decimal data as character like data. So how, what is the alternative we have? We need to use work area name hyphen field name. Use chain operator. Okay. Now there is no syntax error. So when you are using complete work area name in write statement, it is considering entire data as character like data, right? But we have a packed decimal field in our data. That's why it is not printing the data. It is throwing exception. So what is the alternative for that? Mention all the individual fields just like this, so that it will not consider the entire work area as a character like data. Okay. Now activate the program and execute the program. So it is printing data with decimal places. How many decimal places it is displaying? 3 decimal places.
Three decimals.
So instead of comma, right, it is showing, sorry, instead of dot, it is showing comma. This is all about user settings, right? We can configure these settings. We can configure this in the settings. What type of decimal you want to display? Is it dot or comma? The option to set user parameters are SU01. So SU01 is the transaction code to set the user parameters. Looks like they have disabled this option in this training server. They disabled to enter the user ID. Otherwise you should be able to enter the user ID and change the user parameter, including date format, time format, decimal places, everything. Okay, clear? Now, how to populate internal table? You know how to populate work area like this, right? How to populate the internal table? We cannot directly populate values of the internal table manually. So we use a statement called append or insert. Please observe carefully. It's a important interview question. Append statement and insert statement. There is one more actually. Collect. Don't know why. Okay. So we have three different statements: append, insert, and collect. So what is the functionality of the append? It will add work area record at the end of the internal table. At the end of the internal table. So append statement will add. So append statement will add records at the end of the internal table. End in the sense here at the bottom of the internal table, right? What about insert statement? So insert statement will also work similar to append. So if you don't use any specific index or key, right, it will just add one record at the end of the internal table. Okay. But if you want to insert record at a specific position, that is also possible through insert statement. Okay. Okay. You can provide the index of the internal table to insert at a specific position. Okay. But you need to specify that index in which position you want to add that work area record to the internal table. Okay. But append statement, it will always add one record at the end of the internal table. Okay. Add at the end of the internal table. But insert, if you don't specify any index, it will add at the end. But there is also possibility to add record at specific position. For example, if you want to insert a record at second position. You can insert, you can add that record to internal table using insert statement. What about the collect statement? It will, so collect statement will sum up the numerical values. So collect statement will sum up the numerical values. It won't add a new record. When it won't add a new record? When you pass the same data again. For example, you're trying to pass same data again. One more time, 100, employee name 100, field number 3 is same, right? But this value is different. Now what it will do? It won't add second record to the internal table. What it will do? It will sum up this value. Then it will become some 256 or plus, right? So it will sum up the value if you use a collect statement. When you pass same data with different numerical data, it is numerical data, right? Because it's packed decimal, it's a numerical data, right? So collect statement will sum up this value. Instead of adding a new record to the internal table, it will sum up this value. If you use 101, it won't sum up, it will add a new record. Okay, is everyone clear between append, insert and collect, which we apply on the internal table? Let's use append statement. Append to which one? Internal table name. So one record is, we are going to add one record to the internal table. Again, clear the work area, clear the previous record of the work area, populate new data, populate different data for the work area, right? And again, append data to, why we need to clear the work area after appending it? Because I don't want to use any of these values for the second record. Okay, I'll show you the difference. Why we need to use a clear statement. Otherwise, sometimes the previous record value will be populated for the second record incorrectly. If you don't properly clear the work area. Okay, so clearing work area is very important. So it will clear the data of the work area. Now, can we directly use internal table in the write statement to display the output? It won't accept. It won't directly accept the internal table name here to display all the records of the internal table. Just like this IT data. It won't accept this. Check the syntax. What it is saying? IT underscore data cannot be converted into character like structure. Even if you want to display the data like this using individual fields, it won't take it. What it is saying? IT data is a table without header line, therefore does not have a component called field 1. So it is not accepting to print the internal table data. What is the alternative we have? How can we process internal table data? Through a loop or read statements. Through a loop or read statement. Loop will process all the records of the internal table. Now currently how many records we added to the internal table? 2 records, right? If you use loop statement, it will loop for 2 times because there are 2 records in the internal table and process records from internal table to work area one by one. How to loop it? How to loop the internal table? This is the syntax. Loop at IT underscore data into what? Into where you need to place the record one by one. Into a work area WA underscore data. You have already defined this internal table and work area. Okay, and you can print the data of this work area using write statement within the loop. Okay, you need to within the loop. So one by one, all the records one by one will place into work area, and you print the data here, and you display the output. And I'll clear the work area at the end. After printing that particular record, I'll clear the work area. Next time, a new record will be populated to the work area. Check the syntax. Activate the program. Execute. So now tell me, which record will be in the first position, 101 or 100? Which record will be in the first position? Record 100 or record 101? We are using append statement. It will add new record at the end. First it will add 100 at the end, and it will add 101 at after 100, right? Now the first record will be 100. The second record will be 101, right? It's like what do we call stack? First come first serve. Execute. Why it is displaying in the same line? Because I am not using backslash. So it will print every record in the new line. Okay. First it is printing 100 and then 101. Because we are using append statement, first it will add 100 to the internal table, then at the end it will add 101. Okay. So the first record will be in the first position. Whatever the record first we append, that will be in the first position. But if you use insert statement, you can now add records at a specific position. Okay. But if you don't provide any index, it will just act like a append statement, even though if you use insert statement. Let's see how collect will work. How collect statement will work, let's see. So let me make same values for both records. 100 is also 100, except the numerical value. I'll keep same values for the both records except numerical value. Okay. Now instead of append, what I am using? Collect. But here the syntax is little different. That is into, not okay, to into. We need to use into. Collect work area into internal table. That is the syntax for collect statement. Right? Now let's check the output. How many records we need to expect now in the output? So instead of append statement, I am using collect statement now. Collect work area data into internal table. Now, what is the expected output? Observe the values. Observe these character values or number. I'm taking same values, right? But only, what is the difference? I'm taking different values for the numeric field, right? Numeric type. So what is the expectation for collect statement? It will sum up the value into a single record. Okay. Instead of adding two records to the internal table, what it should do? It will sum up this value, because these three values are same, right, for both records. Execute the program. So how it is displaying? It added only a single record to the internal table and with a summarized value. Sum up, right? 251.120. because first record 100 and second record 150, 150.56. So it added both records, right? So when you use collect statement, it will sum up the value, right? But let me try to change the field name values of the second record. Now let's try how it will work, because I am using different values for the first three fields, field 1, field 2 and field 3. Now execute. It is not adding the values to the first record value. It is considering it as a two different records. Okay, and it will just add second record to the internal table. But if you use same values, it will summarize the value and make it as a total value. Okay, is everyone clear? Difference between append and collect and insert. Is everyone clear? So please try to practice using internal tables. Okay, and what is the statement to process the internal table records? Loop and end loop. So in between the loop and end loop, we can process the internal table records. So when we use loop statement, it will loop the records of the internal table one by one into work area. This internal table and work area should both refer to the same type or same type structure. Okay, is everyone clear?
Sir, can you show me for insert also?
Yeah. So execute the program. Okay, we are not specifying the index. Change the program. Okay. So if you use the insert statement, you can specify the index. So on in which position you want to insert the first record, or in which position you want to insert the second record. You need to use index for the insert statement. Index nothing but a record position. Okay. But if you use append, it will always add record at the end. If you use collect, it will sum up the numerical values if you pass the same record again. Okay. So for insert, you need to provide the index. Index nothing but record position. Okay. So loop statement is used to process the records of the internal table, right? So how many times this loop statement will execute? Two times, because we have two records in the internal table. Two times this loop statement will repeat, and whatever the logic you implemented in between the loop and end loop, that will repeat, that will repeatedly execute. Okay. If you have 10 records in the internal table, so it will loop statement will repeat for 10 times, and whatever the logic you kept inside the loop statement will execute for 10 times. Okay. So try to practice this. So we have more options on internal tables. Even we have internal table operations. So we'll discuss that in the next session. But make sure